All right, so the next object that we're going to make is this art palette. We're going to make the curves for this art palette. So I'm going to click on the art palette layer and click on V. I'm going to tap the space bar over the front view here. And here it is in the side view. I'm going to tap my space bar in the side view to bring it full. So for this, we're going to need to make two curves. One to define the outside, and one to define this hole. I'm not worried or going to rather ignore the paint blotches. I'm only interested in creating the wooden part of this. So it doesn't matter which order I create these curves in. It does matter when I make the surface what order I create them in or select them in. But it doesn't matter what order I create them in. So I'm going to do this this circle, this hole first, and then I'll do the outside. So the hole is easy. I'm going to use a circle. Create NURBS primitive circle. And I'm going to drag and create about the size of the hole. I'm going to zoom in and around here, so I'm going to center it as best I can, and then I'm going to use the scale tool to kind of adjust its size so it sits kind of right in there. Not totally exact, that's fine, as long as it's pretty close. And get it close as you can. So now I want to do the outside. So the outside has to close. It's a closed curve. So I could use the Bezier, but then I have to convert it. I'm going to use just the straight EP curve because it's not that complex a shape. So I want to close the curve. Maya does that for me automatically. So the span that it takes to close the curve is generated. So I don't want to put that generated part of the close of the curve in any area that's kind of critically curved. So like all this area that has a lot of curves that go in and out, and they're pretty severe curves. I don't want to use any of this area really to have the curve close. I'm going to go to an area that's less critical, that the curve is less. So maybe at the top here, or even at the bottom here, or even on this side here. Remember when I close, I'm going to leave a little gap, and that's the gap that's going to be closed. It's going to be closed programmatically. So I'm actually going to start at the top in about here, and I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to end about 1 unit over. So I'm going to have like this open space right here at the top. So I'm going to use my EP curve, and I'm just going to click and create the curve, trying to use as few points as possible. I don't have to be even or anything. In other words, I can make more points in one area than another. I don't need to over here because this curve does a lot more than the curves over here as far as holding a shape. And now I can start going a little farther apart, and I'm going to end right about there. I'm going to press the Q. So it ends. And again, I can edit as I need to. I see I have a little space here, so I'll right-click on the curve, Control Vertex, and I'll just kind of move some of these points around so I have a nice, smooth, even kind of curve for my art palette. ArtPallate. I'm just kind of making sure that it adheres to that edge. On it, I accidentally clicked off of it. So I'm just moving things around. When I'm done, I'll right click, choose object mode. So now I have my two curves. Finally, I'm going to close this. So I'm going to select the curve, and I'm going to go to my curves, and I'm going to open close, and I'm going to close it. So then I'll select both of these curves, and I'll right click. I'll put them into this ArtPallate layer. So I'll right click, and I'll choose Add Selected Objects. Then I'll hide that layer. And then I'll increment and save my scene.